Welcome to ancient Rome. The Romans gave us roads, aqueducts, concrete, and legal systems that still influence the world today. But they also came up with punishments that make modern prison sentences look surprisingly reasonable. Some were designed to terrify, some were meant to humiliate, and a few are so bizarre that historians still wonder, who thought this was a good idea? Today we're counting down 5 of the weirdest punishments ever used in ancient Rome. Let's begin. The Tarpeian rock. The accused stand on the edge of a cliff. Below him is solid rock. Behind him stands a group of Roman guards. There's no dramatic speech, no last-minute rescue, just one shove. Traitors, murderers, and people who threaten the Roman state could be brought here. Instead of building expensive prisons or elaborate execution devices, Rome simply let gravity do the work. Efficient, brutal, very Roman. The punishment wasn't only about killing someone, it was about sending a message. Anyone walking through the city could see exactly what happened to people who betrayed Rome. Modern psychologists often talk about deterrence, the idea that visible punishment discourages others from committing crimes. And after watching someone disappear over the edge, most people probably decided today wasn't the day to commit treason. Decimation. Now imagine bring a Roman soldier, done everything your commander asked, but your entire unit loses one battle. The general is furious. Instead of punishing the officers, he punishes everyone. The soldiers are divided into groups of 10, then lots are drawn. One unlucky man is selected, and here's the horrifying part. He isn't executed by strangers. His own 9 teammates must beat him to death. This punishment was called decimation. The word actually comes from the Latin word for 10th. Contrary to popular belief, the Romans didn't use it all the time. Even Roman commanders considered it extreme, because after one execution, the remaining soldiers had to continue fighting together. Imagine the silence in that camp that night. Psychologically, it worked because fear didn't just come from the enemy anymore. Failure itself became terrifying. Every soldier now carried 2 fears: losing the battle and surviving it. Needless to say, Roman discipline had a reputation: crucifixion. When people hear Roman punishment, this is usually the first thing that comes to mind. Crucifixion. It wasn't invented by the Romans, but they perfected it. Victims were usually whipped first, then forced to carry part of their own cross through crowded streets. Finally, they were tied or nailed onto the wooden structure. Death wasn't quick. It could take hours, sometimes even days. And that was exactly the point. Rome wanted everyone to see it. Crosses were often placed beside busy roads. Every traveler became an audience. It was less about one criminal and more about thousands of spectators. The message was simple. This is what happens if you challenge Roman authority. Fear spreads much faster when everyone can see the consequences. Even today, public examples influence behavior more than private ones. The Romans understood that long before psychology had a name. Still, this was one punishment few people wanted to see twice: Damnatio at Bestias. Now imagine buying a ticket to the Colosseum. You're expecting gladiator fights. Instead, the next event is an execution. The arena gates open, a prisoner walks into the sand, then another gate opens. Out comes a lion, or maybe a leopard, a bear, sometimes several animals at once. This punishment was called Damnatio at Bestias, condemnation to the beasts. Sometimes prisoners were tied up, sometimes they were given tiny weapons that barely stood a chance. Other times elaborate mythological plays were staged, except the ending was very real. To Roman crowds, this wasn't just punishment, it was entertainment. Imagine thousands of people cheering while someone desperately searched for an escape that didn't exist. Today, we'd probably call that disturbing. Back then, it was a day at the stadium. Psychologists often talk about dehumanization, when society stops seeing someone as a fellow human. The arena made that easier. Once someone became the criminal, compassion became much harder. Which is a reminder that crowds don't always bring out the best in people. Sometimes, they do the opposite. Poena Cullei now for the strangest punishment of them all. Roman judge announcing your sentence, not to the prison, not being executed immediately. Instead, someone brings out a giant leather sack. Inside it is a dog, a rooster, a monkey, and a snake. Yes, those are the official ingredients. Then you're sewn inside with them. The sack is tied shut, loaded onto a cart, taken to a river, and thrown in. This bizarre punishment was known as Poena Cullei, the punishment of the sack. It was mainly reserved for one specific crime, killing your own parent. To the Romans, this wasn't just murder. It was an attack on the natural order of society itself. Every part of the punishment carried symbolism. The criminal was denied a proper burial, separated from the human world, trapped with animals instead. Whether every execution included exactly the same animals is still debated by historians. Ancient sources don't always agree, but the story became famous because of just how unbelievably strange it sounded. Which one surprised you the most? The sack, the beasts, or the soldiers forced to punish one of their own? Let me know in the comments. And if you'd like to see more strange punishments from history, don't forget to subscribe. Because history is often much weirder than anything Hollywood could invent.